Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the last one. Got shit in my throat. But we got another reaction video. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it. Check out my links down below. I'm live every single day. Probably schedule one later. So if you want to see that, come join the live.
Yo, I'm KBHD here. Welcome to your first look and hands-on with the Nintendo Switch 2. And this is everything
Nintendo Switch 2.
you need to know. It's obviously one of the hottest and most anticipated new consoles in a long time. So when Nintendo invited me to this little hands-on in New York City with a few other YouTubers, obviously, I said yes. So the first Switch, I don't know if you remember, came out in 2017. So naturally, almost a decade later, there's a bunch of stuff that people, including myself, a mere casual, have been waiting for this to be updated. And spoiler alert, they basically, I think, hit every single one of those things. But there is one big asterisk kind of overhanging all of it. So general form factor wise, this shape, very familiar. It looks like a Switch. Like, you've probably already seen the images online, but it is noticeably bigger. So it's the same thickness as the first generation, but it feels thinner because everything's kind of spread out more. It's bigger. The body's bigger. The Joy-Cons are bigger. And it's mostly driven bigger. So it's the same thickness as the first generation, but it feels thinner because everything's kind of...
I like that. I like that. I like that. I didn't like pulling it up. Ooh, wait a minute. Ooh, wait a minute. Slamming that shit might... Ooh. I don't know. It could be better, though. It could be better.
Spread out more. It's bigger. The body's bigger. The Joy-Cons are bigger. And it's mostly driven by this big new screen. So it's now a 7.9-inch display up front, up from 6.2. And this is still an LCD, but it's now a 1080p variable refresh rate LCD that gets up to 120 hertz. And it just looks so much better than the original Switch. It looks plenty bright to me, too. It supports HDR as well. Notably, it's not an OLED, though, so it doesn't have the perfectly inky blacks or the battery life advantages that come with an OLED. I do kind of think that we're eventually also going to see a Switch 2 OLED. I think that makes sense. It'll probably be in a few years. There's probably also going to be a Switch 2 Lite in a few years as well. Doesn't mean you have to wait for those. It's just something to keep in mind in the back of your head. But yeah, I'm definitely loving the variable refresh rate up to 120 hertz. Every game they're showing here takes advantage of it. You know how iPhone defenders always love to say, oh, you know, people can't tell the difference between 60 and 120 hertz. It's no big deal. But, you know, high refresh rate and gaming go hand in hand. So I think
you can tell. You can tell 60 to anything else. You can tell. If it's like 240 to like 360, then you can't really tell. 60 to anything else, 60 to 144,
and potentially also the smoother UI.
60 to 120.
So the screen is the biggest improvement. Now there are some other, you know, nice quality of life improvements here, like a kickstand that lets you prop it up at a pretty wide variety of angles, including almost all the way down.
That shit looks like a break off. Like, if my cat stepped on that, it would break that shit, I swear.
Similar to the Switch OLED, but they added another port up to the top as well. And that makes it easier to charge while the console's kind of sitting on a table or something, since that was a pain before. And it's also perfect for the additional USB Type-C accessories, which I'll get to in a second. But I think the other obvious biggest upgrade is the new Joy-Cons. So many things are better about these new Joy-Cons. First of all, they are bigger, like everything else, which ergonomically is very welcome. The left and right sticks are larger too. There's a new C button down here for game chat, which I will also get to in a second. And then they connect to the
game chat on the Switch
with magnets in a really satisfying way. They basically just slap right onto the side and line up automatically. No.
Oh, bro, I swear, dude. If you drop that, it's cooked. That's just gonna break off. I already know.
Slide necessary. Love a good magnet. You get them off by holding this release button here, which is literally just a lever that pushes the Joy-Con off the side of the Switch. And I think it's really nicely calibrated. If you just touch the release button but don't pull, the Joy-Con actually pushes off but then snaps right back on because the magnet is so strong. But if you release and pull, then it just pops off really easily, and then you can snap it back on whenever you want.
Hold on.
Click.
Some of my eyes bugging me, bro.
Now, the neat thing is Most of the Joy-Con is still made of plastic to be lightweight, but at the top here, these SR and SL buttons, first of all, they are way bigger than last gen, but they're also actually made of the metal that the magnets in the console are attracted to. They're steel buttons. So that's why the connection between the
That's
Joy-Cons
nice.
and
That's
the
better.
Switch are so strong. It's that metal right there. My only worry here is actually just durability. So you can see when you
Yep.
pull that Joy-Con off, you can see these pins on the Switch.
That shit's
And I
breaking
kind of
instantly.
wonder how many little kids are going to bend those pins. Like, there is a tiny bit of wiggle actually built in to hopefully make it not snap too easily. But yeah, there's no way to tell until they start shipping these to real people and we start seeing the stories rolling in, but I'm going to keep an eye on that. Oh, and there's also stronger feeling haptics. They're called HD Rumble 2. The Rumble Pack is directly attached to the plastic in the back
Bro,
of the
why is he not
Joy-Cons.
drifting?
They feel nice and strong, a little bit more precise too, so that's really nice. And then lastly, each Joy-Con can also be used as a mouse in supporting games. I did not see this one coming. It's kind of interesting idea, but basically there's a small optical sensor on the side of the Joy-Con. So if you turn that Joy-Con horizontally and place that sensor down on a table, you can move it around like a mouse, even
What?
rotate it, and that acts as yet another input method that apparently certain games will work pretty well with. I was doing this demo of a wheelchair basketball game, and so it ended up being pretty intuitive. You kind of hold the triggers and push forward, and you would move forward in the game.
The heck?
Never would have thought it would work so well, but there's a good amount of sensitivity. Apparently, you can do this while swiping forward on your jeans and your lap, too, if you wanted to. Other surfaces should work as well. In the Nintendo Direct live stream, they also showed this other golf game where you move the putter around and rotate it and then make a stroke using the mouse motion, all on a table
Wait,
like
that
a
looks
mouse.
cool.
So, yeah, I guess that makes sense. We'll see what other games end up using this control. Now, we didn't get a whole lot of other specifics like the chip it's running or even how much RAM it has, which admittedly, a lot of Switch buyers just don't care about. But one big spec that they did improve is they've gone from 32 gigs of storage on the original Switch to 256 gigs of storage.
Damn.
And the storage is faster. So I definitely appreciate this. You can
Okay.
see my Switch home screen behind me. I could only fit 3 games on my Switch because one of them was Rocket League and it was like 17 gigs. But I also think this will directly relate to how much larger Switch 2 games will probably be. So 256 gigs will feel in line with the larger file sizes, bigger textures, higher resolution, and all that. Switch 2 games will probably also be bigger too. So thankfully, there is still micro SD card support. It lives right here under the hinge again, and you'll specifically have to get a micro SD express card to play games off it on the Switch 2. But I think generally they'll be pretty easy to find. I already saw Lexar is going to be making a 1 terabyte micro SD card just for the Switch 2, so that's awesome. Now the Switch isn't a Switch
Nice.
without the dock, and the new dock
Yep.
supports 4K resolution out to a TV. Love to see that.
Damn.
There's actually also a fan in the Switch 2 dock that turns on while it's docked. So while it's cranking out that
Thicker.
extra resolution, it doesn't get too hot. But from there, I feel like all of the new software features have a bit of a theme. This Switch 2 feels like a much more social console. Like I think Nintendo saw a ton of success with the original Switch and started thinking about more ways to make it a better experience because now there are going to be groups of people where several of them have a Switch. So when you hit that new C button on the Joy-Con, it brings up this new menu called Game Chat. So they didn't let us do this in the demos that I tried today, but in Nintendo Direct you can see the idea is if you have some friends on other Switches gaming at the same time as you, you can all turn your mics on and talk to each
Bro,
other.
that's sick.
Or even turn screen sharing on to see each other's gameplay live, which is cool. I know a lot of people do FaceTime while gaming and kind of want to combine the whole
no.
experience. So I personally probably wouldn't do this, but I totally get it. And it's funny. It was actually refreshing seeing this in
Bro, that
Nintendo's
game sharing
official
was not
footage.
it.
You can see the gameplay from other
Bro,
people
look
as
at
you're
it.
watching it. It's kind of laggy and it's kind of low resolution, but it's totally fine. Like this makes me believe more that what we're seeing here is exactly how it'll look. Like Nintendo didn't want to make any fake promises like, oh, it'll be 1080p when you watch other people game. But hey, at least you'll have an idea of what's going on their screen, so that's cool. But not only that, if you get this optional accessory here, which is called the Switch 2 camera,
What?
this little thing plugs into that top port on the Switch when you're docked, or I think you can even plug it straight into the dock itself. And when you point it at yourself, it can automatically cut you out from the background and put your face next to your gameplay. So it literally
Bro,
feels like
what?
a gaming version of a Zoom call or something. Like everyone can see their friends' faces and their friends' reactions to the games in real time. And some games will even integrate that feed a little more, like putting your face over where an avatar would normally be. It's like video chatting while playing a
That's
game.
kind of
It's not going to
cool.
be the highest fidelity
That's
thing
kind of cool,
ever,
though.
but it'll be a sort of extra layer on top and makes it feel more social. So game chat is cool when you're
I
in
like that. I like
multiple
that.
different places, but there's also going to be situations where multiple people are all gaming in the same physical place with switches. And so they built a feature just for that, which is being able to share a game with other people who don't have it yet, up to 3 other people. So
Wait,
one
what?
Switch 2 is the host, and then up to 3 other Switches.
Oh, they're doing like
They don't-
Xbox. I don't know if PlayStation had this, but like you could set like a Xbox as home, and then somehow you could like link the Xboxes and then play like online games together. It wouldn't like, maybe it did. Maybe it did share games, but I know it shared Xbox Live.
You don't have to have the
That's
game
kinda
installed
cool,
at
though. I
all.
like
It's just one guy
that.
goes, all right, guys, I'll have this game. We're all going to play it in the same room. And every one of you now temporarily has this game. And you can play your own perspective
Okay,
of the multiplayer,
okay.
whatever, without having to buy or install the whole thing at that moment. I'm not sure exactly how long it'll take to set up or like exactly which games will support it. But a Switch 2 can host, and then up to 3 other Switches can join. It's called Game Share. I like it a lot. And then actually, speaking of games, there's basically going to be 3 types of games for the Switch 2. There will be native Switch 2 games. And those are the ones that are the most optimized and should look the best with the best graphics, potentially taking the most advantage of the extra features and game chat and mouse controls. Then there will be Switch 1 games, some of which will be compatible with the Switch 2, just might not look as good. And then there will be Switch 1 games that get kind of remastered or updated for the Switch 2. So like a Switch 2 version of the game. So hopefully you don't have to pay a full price for a whole new game. You'll pay a smaller amount for
Wait.
an
So what you're telling me is you can play Switch 1 games on there, but you like if you own the game, you have to pay for it again to play it on the new console? I don't know, bro.
updated version of the game for the Switch 2. But I think that
People ain't
pretty
gonna like
conveniently
that.
brings us to the big asterisk hovering over all of this, which is pricing. See, the Switch 2
Uh-oh.
is going to start off at $449 in the
404. Bro, what? Bro, $450 for what? For it to break after one drop, the controller's gonna link. Bro, how much are the games? How much are the games gonna be? There's no way. $450? There ain't no way. Bro, I thought this was a family-friendly company. What is this bullshit?
US. Now,
Bro, no, I'm not gonna buy it. I can't afford that shit. $450? There's so much
I've seen mixed
content on the
reactions
Switch
to
2,
that
though, it
price.
looks like.
Obviously, the Switch 1 was amazing. It was $300, but that was almost 10 years ago. So now, new specs and updates and inflation and tariffs and all of that, to me, actually makes $449 feel like a pretty reasonable price.
I mean, I guess, but the first one was hella overpriced too, but it was like, it was something different. This is just the same thing, just upgraded graphics. But like $450. Bro. And guess what? You're gonna have to pay for online. GG.
The Switch 2 camera accessory is $50. Feels about right. There's also a new Switch 2 Pro controller with new back buttons.
What, 70
plus
bucks?
a headphone jack, and of course the added C button. That'll be around $80.
Oh.
But then the game pricing is where
Oh,
they
no.
start to lose people a little bit.
It's worse. It's worse than this.
It's reported that Switch 2 games
Oh, hell no. The rich are only buying this. The rich are only buying this. $80? $90 for physical? Why is it different? Why is it different? It's plastic. It should be like $3 more. $2 more, $4 more, $10 extra to get physical copy. What the fuck? What the fuck? Why don't they just make it where you buy the physical copy and you could download, like, they give you a code you can download the actual game from. Like, why is there two different things? Jesus! $80
are going to be around $80.
Just kick me in the balls
just for
already.
a digital download Switch 2 game. $90 if you want the physical version. That definitely feels really high. There are so many great PC and
Like, bro, you're playing on a downgraded console from any other console in the world right now? Well, I shouldn't say that for PS4 or PS5 and Xbox, whatever the fuck.
console games, and even Switch 1 games in the store in like the 50.
How much is online gonna be?
Right now, NBA 2K25 is like my staple for an expensive game. That's $70 on the PS5. So pushing that up again, $80 to $90 for a Switch 2 game does feel
That's insane.
kinda like it's pushing it. And then they also
That's
announced
insane, bro. You could play on a PC. And that shit ain't even like, dude, these indie games are better than some these AAA games they're releasing. And they're only like 20 to 30 bucks. These indie games are insane. Repo. We got Schedule 1 just is blowing up right now. We got a bunch of like horror games. We got a bunch of like different games. Like these indie games are going crazy. These indie games are low-key keeping gaming afloat right now. Fortnite's cooked. Apex is like that. Like, what happened to that game, to be honest? What else? Call of Duty is in the shit can right now. Like, all these games are
smart
cooked.
looking demo game called Welcome Tour that basically walks
Demo
you
game?
through
Okay.
all of the features and lets you demo everything and really get to know the Switch 2 well. Kind of reminds me of Astro's Playroom on the PlayStation 5, which did the exact
Sounds
same
cool.
thing, helped you learn what the DualSense controller was capable of. And that was free. That actually came pre-installed on the PS5 at launch. And Nintendo has even done Wii Sports in the past, which was a free demo
Goated.
game that came on the Nintendo Wii and low-key actually came pre-installed on the PS5
Oh,
at
I
launch.
love
And
to play that.
Nintendo has even done Wii Sports in the past, which was a free demo game that
Goated.
came on the Nintendo Wii and low-key.
Apex is okay, bro. Did you just type that? Bro, why does my Twitch never update? Like, it always says I have one viewer, but that one viewer is me. How long have you been in the stream? Apex is okay, bro. Come back. We miss you, bro.
To me, seems
Just-
like a huge miss. That's going to be so
That
many
was
people
not
that are
fun.
not going to experience it, that are not going to be able to fully walk through it and understand and get
Wait,
to
what
know.
do you say?
Even just having it no game though is paid. It's not included.
The
for
demo
free.
is paid.
It's going to be like $10 or $20 or something like that
Bro.
in the store. But even just having it paid at all to me seems like a huge miss. That's going to be so many people that are not going to experience it, that are not going to be able to fully walk through it and understand and get to know their Switch 2 because no one's going to go buy that
Yeah,
demo
I'm never
game.
buying a demo game.
I don't know what they were thinking there. Other than that, though, the Switch 2 seems pretty sweet.
Bro, it
I'm not
looks
gonna lie.
cool,
I really like
though.
it. There's a reason the original Switch was one of the best-selling consoles of all
Mhm.
time. It was well-priced, great form factor, very versatile. For me, the perfect airplane game console. I would say the signs are pointing to Switch 2 also being really good again. But there are also definitely some things we
Definitely.
still don't know. Like, for example, we obviously don't know the chip and the RAM. We do know it's confirmed that there is some amount of DLSS happening. I would assume that to do 4K on a TV, there's some amount of upscaling happening. We just don't know exactly how much yet. But then also battery life. How similar or different will battery life potentially
That
be
is
from the
big,
first
actually.
Switch? You know, having a bigger, higher refresh rate, higher resolution screen tends to eat battery life, but it's also bigger, so the battery
Wait,
capacity
2
can
to
be
6
bigger.
hours.
So maybe it just balances out and it's similar.
Wait,
Switch.
3-hour charge time?
You know, having a bigger,
Bro,
higher refresh rate, higher resolution screen tends
Take
to eat battery life,
forever.
but it's also bigger, so the battery capacity can be bigger. So maybe it just balances out and it's similar. TBD. I don't think fast charging is announced or anything crazy like that. But then
Yeah.
also things like durability and whether they fix Joy-Con drift or not. These are all things that are TBD, and that I think would be great to find out for a full review. So maybe get subscribed if you're interested in seeing something like that to be among the first to see it. And let me know in the comments down below what else you want to see. Now, if you're one of those people who's just going to pre-order no matter what, then I highly recommend checking out the Kill Switch from channel sponsor Dbrand. See, originally the Kill
What's
Switch
that?
line was developed for the Steam Deck, and that ended up being one of the best possible Steam Deck cases.
Oh, is that a case?
So now they're taking
Oh.
this same formula and making it for the Switch 2,
Switch.
plus some cool extras. So there's a travel cover. So just like the Steam Deck version, it will be super protective, so you can toss it in a bag or wherever else you want. But
Does it
then
not
for the
come with the
Switch 2,
case?
They added a game card holder, so you can hold up to 10 games with you,
Oh.
and you can even see them through the frosted finish.
That thing is too big,
They've also
Loki.
added some ergonomic hand grips, and unlike other Switch cases, they also detach with the Joy-Cons. But the whole point of the
Okay.
Switch 2 is that when you take it with you on the go, you can dock it when you get home, right?
Mhm.
Most cases aren't going to fit inside the dock, but Dbrand
Dude,
saw
that dock
one
is
too
huge
with a
now
dock
compared to the
adapter
last
that
one.
they're including with every purchase. So if you want to check them out, hit them up at dbrand.com/switch2.
Everybody, that's the end of the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the reaction content. Let me know like what other maybe videos you want to see. I'm thinking about like movie trailers. Maybe something else. That's really all I got right now. But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, check out my links and see ya. Bye everybody.